Hello, Lisa. I hope you can hear me. Just let me know if you can see me and hear me. I'm working on our newest project, our newest art quilt. And so let's, put it here first. Hi, Marcia. Can you hear me and can you see me? There's our Hopi. This is great seeing you popping in. Oh, good. Boomerang says I can be seen and can be heard, I hope. Hello, Mitty. Mitty, I need to get your address. Remember, don't put it on here, sweetie. I want to send you that applique book. And so this week I'm going to finally go to the post office again. And but send it to my email. Let me pop my email address on here right now so that we've got it. Yes, you can. Yay. Oh, this is wonderful. Lisa, I miss you. We have to plan a little retreat if you get a little weekend off, maybe in September or something. And that would be fun. So we can just sew together ourselves. All right, so my email is ourtime2quilt@gmail.com. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, my boomerang, you know that's my mark. Marsha Han is on here. Yay! Good for you, hon. Well, you know I have this little trimmer. And so I had set up my placeholder and I went to click start streaming, but because I have a trimmer, I clicked it twice, so it like started and stopped. So I had to rush in and go make another one, but I am here. Michelle Lang is here. Hi, sweetheart. Gosh, it's so good to see you. I've been thinking of our Michelle. I've got to keep up with our Michelle. But, yes, luckily it's cooler here. We actually opened the windows this morning. Mark said, well, it's going to be a little humid. And it's like, well, I know, but we need to air out the house. There's nothing like getting some fresh air into the house. So, and it's been too hot to do it. So, starting out as usual, let me bring this over a little bit because we want to give some more attention to Ukraine. We love Ukraine. You should see the Ukrainian flag I made on the front porch. It's been out since I first heard about Russia invading it. It's gotten so faded and so pitiful, but I refuse to take it down until this invasion is over. Kathy Klein is here. Mary's here. Yay. Oh, it's so good seeing all of y'all. Oh, and Marsha, I'll show you in just a minute, Marsha. Marsha and Mary, I painted something for you, and I'll show you in just a minute. But I just wanted to show again, besides our Ukrainian flag that we stand beside them, we just finished doing this wonderful mosaic quilt. And don't forget, this came from Bonnie. I love it. Dare to be different, my motto. And then I'll go ahead. These are just some of the projects we've done the last few months. We have been very busy. And let me turn this around because here is our class quilt. And sadly, I have not done anything to it. So I wish I had, but I haven't done any work on it yet. So that's frustrating. But I'm hoping this week. I was so tired after a week full of classes, I had to take a break. But I do love this beautiful quilt. So I will get right back to it. I want to get what I have planned this week. Now I am going to, the mosaic is cool, isn't it? In fact, I want to see how Mary's mosaic is coming along. But, okay, so we have been pretty busy people around here. and we're ready to start a new project. So, I want to give a couple little shout outs. And hi, Debbie. Oh, wow. You only have one more snail trail block to go. I can't wait to see it because she's got a real lovely. We had 2 people that did the white backgrounds, and then we had some people use the black. Oh, my Andy is here. Yay. In fact, just in time, I was going to give some shout outs. One is to my wonderful son-in-law, David, whose birthday was yesterday. And I just want to, I've got a card on the way in the mail, and I sent him a greeting through my daughter's, Katie, his wife, her message system. And, but anyway, just wanted to give him a shout out. Then I have some new friends that I love. Yesterday I met John and Jackson, and they're from California. And then I met Laura and Marco and Luca and Daniele, and they're from Rome, Italy. And what fascinating people. That family, and these are all members of Andy's family, amazing family. All these main people given life by Mary, who you know I love. And so I tell you what, we had the best time. And what I was so impressed with, these very well-spoken boys, young men, they're not boys, and it was so much fun to sit and talk to them. So it was really a lot of fun. And then Jackson loves to build things like I do. And I forgot to I meant to bring down one of my miniatures. I was going to show Jackson what my miniatures that I love to build look like. But he did a wonderful Lego model, and I love that. So, but anyway, we had a great day, and just was fascinated to listen to their life, and their mom, Laura, going over in her 20s as a just graduated college student to work on things over in Rome. I mean, that's pretty bold. I love that. And you know, I'm really big on women's rights and just giving women the credit. And but it's just a lovely family. It shows the wonderful kids. Miss Jo is here. Yay! Yay! Oh, Andy is very handy. Let me tell you, and he makes really good cheeseburgers on the grill. Let me tell you, it was the best cheeseburger I have had since I can remember. I can't even remember having another one that good. So he can clean, he can cook, he can do wallpaper, he can interior decorate, he can build. It's amazing. And he can save my Polly girl from being attacked by a really bad pit bull. So he's number 1 in my book. Anyway, it is so good to see all of you. Mary needed a break from all the piecing, so she worked on cutting scraps and sorting them. Mary, what a great idea. In fact, I was starting this new project, and it was so great because I could pick up the plastic bin where I had made let me pull it back up here, pardon me, my chair got caught on the desk. The bin that I used to work on this mosaic quilt had most of the colors I needed for this project. And I was thinking about that, so many of the techniques. It's funny how when you get working on something that you kind of get into a process kind of thing where we're doing some of the very same processes that we did in the mosaic, which means having your fabric and ironing fusible a fusible on the back of it. It's got paper on it, and that way you can peel the paper back. The fusible is on the back of the fabric, then you just iron it into place and then stitch it down. So, but let me show you a couple little things first. And I was talking to Hopi when we were doing the classes, and I was talking to Hopi and said, I need to have a trunk show. And because I haven't done a trunk show in a few years, and we've got some new people here, and they might not see what kind of quilting I love. But you use, Deb, what to use? Oh, to hold the works on the back of me. Okay, that is a rolling, it's an inexpensive, it came from Mark's mom. He brought it when he moved down here to be with me 21 years ago. It's just a little rolling clothing rack. And then I took flannel and I made a giant pillowcase to go over the rolling rack. And then that gives me a pseudo design wall. Laura, hi, hon. It gives me a pseudo design wall. But what I have to do, I've tried all kinds of things. What I have to do is I use my bent straight pins to pin it to the flannel. See the flannel back here? But I love this thing. I take it to retreats with me because I can pin up my blocks. Since it's just a flannel pillowcase, it doesn't hold them without pinning them. I have tried Velcro. I've tried it all. But anyway, but it's so nice to be able to put things right up. But I was just looking at our narrow. I have a wheel that must have threads rolled around it, and I get ready to move the chair and it doesn't move. But anyway, I'm still tired, still excited. I had such a fun night last night, and you know what? Sometimes we do need to get out and have a good time. So I want to, Mary, you might want to kind of close your eyes, but here is one of those bead rollers that Mark and I made, and I painted it for my Mary, because I think I remember one time she sent us a garden picture, and she had black-eyed Susans out in it. Then you remember this is the one I painted for myself. But it's going to come with a caveat, because I realized the paint wouldn't stick on without putting some layers of sealer. I'm wondering how long the sealers are going to last with constant hand motion, and especially if you get a little glue on your hand. But now here is my Marcia Florum for being such a wonderful moderator for our group, and I'm going to get these out in the mail this week, I promise. But I painted another one for myself. Oh my gosh, the paint, I put it on a little too heavy. I think I'm going to sand it back off and try again. It is kind of a hit and miss thing with me. But remember last week, while we're speaking, let me get my, okay, here is my bead roller. I showed you how I made fabric beads, because mostly what I make is paper beads, and I use junk mail, and it works great. Well, remember last week I pulled up some very bright fabric, and in fact, let me go ahead and bring you down to the detail camera so I can show you better. I love this OBS system. So, there's Bonnie. Hi, sweetie. So, okay, and I hope you all are getting the cooler weather that we're getting. We finally got rain, because our area of Forsyth County here, we're not getting any substantial rain for a couple of weeks, and with that heat, it got so dry. But I used this fabric right here, and I showed you how to take and starch it to give it some stiffness. Then I showed you how to cut it and put it on, glue it onto paper, and then roll the beads. And once I rolled them, since it was on white paper, it had a lot of white showing on the edge. So what I did is I just dipped the end into black, matching or black, pardon me, acrylic paint. And that kind of, well, some of these, they got paper stuck to them. But that way it kind of disguises the fact that it's a paper bead. And then I took, and, oh, that's right. I was like, take down the product, Deb, so they can see what you use. Because then I took this triple thick glaze, and it's a clear acrylic gloss. And I had to put 3 layers. With fabric, the grain will kind of open up, and it would be the best thing if you would take and sand the outside of it. But honestly, I'm not going to take the time to do that. There are more things that need to be made. But here is the necklace, and I love putting, I have a big head, so I love putting the elastic string around on there so I can pull it easily over my head. And then I made a bracelet to go with it. So it'll be something fun. It's got the rainbow colors, so that's good. But I just wanted to show you it can be done. It does take several layers of the acrylic sealer so that you can get a nice shine and it's sealed well. Oh, pardon me. I forgot Mark's going off for a bike ride today. And that just, I jumped. He hasn't gone in a while. So while I'm talking about the beads, this is my amazing expensive tool I made. Whoops. How is that upside down? Let me see if I can, okay. I made this wonderful expensive tool to use by taking bamboo toothpicks and pushing them in to some styrofoam that came, I forget what this came into, but I love grabbing that stuff. And these are some of my paper beads. And I just wanted to show you, now that these are finished, I dipped these into a white paint for the end. Dogs, they see Daddy leaving. They're like, oh no. But I just thought I would show you some of these. This was totally junk mail. In fact, I'll show you the writing on it. What does that say? Needed. But isn't that pretty? And on a necklace, if you had a, you know, a light green or a cream colored top, that'd be so pretty. So I know it's just junk mail, but it's fun. It keeps my hands busy at night. That's always good because I don't need to be filling my time with eating. And here are the ones, remember I printed some paper out. This is a design from Jilly at Rainbow Lane, and she gives so many designs for free. And these are tapered bead and these are barrel bead. So that's the difference in those. All right, well that's that. Now let me put that away. And let's see if I can come back. Sorry, that was probably a little bit fast, but okay. So I was very tired this past week, but we did some good things. We did some housekeeping, like cleaning out the refrigerator and scrubbing it out. I hadn't done that in a couple years. When your favorite thing of all, as much as you love breathing, is art, you don't have time to clean refrigerators. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So, but there's just too many great things, and you know the clock is running. So, but anyway, after the July week-long class we had, I was tired. But I did get some things done. Oh, I have good news. I went to do the check-in. My doctor is so wonderful. And I asked her, she wanted to put me on a weight loss drug, but I didn't want to take it. I don't trust it. Not until it's been out longer, because I remember back in the 90s, the whole fin craze, that did not turn out well. So, but it also was going to be like $500 a month. I mean, are you kidding? And so I said, let me do it myself. So I went in Friday. I've lost 5 more pounds. Now, I'm not losing it super fast. But Mark keeps saying, but honey, that's good, because then your body doesn't panic and think, I'm starving. And I've still got a good ways to go. So this is probably going to be a year-long process, but I'm excited. And what I do is I like say, okay, you've lost 3 bags of flour. Any way to kind of make it real, so that while I'm sitting there and I'm eating cucumbers and I'm eating cauliflower instead of cookies, I don't feel so badly. But thank goodness for fruit and vegetables, because they keep me excited about eating. But I'm being real good. I am eating real food, but just smartly. All right. I just wanted to show you, while I was just talking to you, talked about how I need to have a trunk show again. So I just thought I would bring, in honor of our wonderful Italian family members, I would show a couple of my favorite quilts. This we started as a silly, hi, Linda Williams, there you are. Yes, you did respond to my email. Okay, excellent. Okay. You're in Guilford County? Oh my gosh, my daughter and her sweetheart live in Guilford County. So yeah, let me save the postage. I'll make sure to get them to you. So I'll answer your email, and we'll talk about whether you want an M5 or M4. And that's great. I love it. Okay, so, and how wonderful. I'm glad to see you here. I am so glad. That's wonderful. So here is one of my earlier art quilts. And what this is we had a little challenge to make an animal quilt. Well, I love flamingos, and so I made it out of here. And what made me think of it, they remind me of ballet dancers. When I see ballet dancers in their tutus, I think of this. And I thought, I don't know if Laura is watching, but I took and made my own tiny miniature Degas. And actually the room they're in was from a Degas painting. So this is the kind of quilting that my heart is with my heart, and I love it. So I just tried to pull 2 of my favorite quilts, and because Laura has seen Becky's pieced quilt from me, but this one, both of these have been in a quilt show, so that's nice, but they didn't win. But I'll keep trying. But anyway, this is my most recent show entry. I entered this into a show in Greenville, South Carolina, a Mancuso quilt show. And this is called Woodland Waterfall. And I had the best time making this, cutting up lots of different fabric and doing a lot of thread painting. So here is my Woodland Waterfall. So I just thought I would show you. So I can do things whimsical or serious, just depends on the mood I'm in. But I do love this. It's something, when I was young, I always wanted to be a painter, but I'm just not patient enough. And there's something about being tactile, that, touching that fabric. And I used to always say, when I would come home from a fabric store with some gorgeous fabric, that I just wanted to lay it on the floor and roll all around in it. But I don't want to scare babies and dogs, so I don't do that. But anyway, all right, so now let me look. You know me, I'm a little easily distractible. I was telling all my worst things to Daniele, and it's like, sorry. But I get easily distracted, so I have a little write-up, an agenda that I make out to follow. So I showed you the fabric beads, and I have not mailed out these paper bead rollers, but I will get them this week and work on meeting up with Linda. That'll be fun. So, okay, let me see. I think those, okay, I think I have talked about the main things. Now what I'm excited about is showing you today's project. Today's project is going to be reverse applique. Now let me show you some things that I found and what was my inspiration, where did I get this idea. And so let me go to the desktop. I always have to chase around my cursor. All right, so I'll show you what gave me my first inspiration. Okay, yes, fabrics are any kind of fibers excite me. I happened to see this in an ad on some quilting. Whoop, wait a minute, I forgot to tack it on. Here we go. I've only been doing this system for a month and a half. I'm learning. But I tell you what, it kind of strains the old adage of, can you teach a dog new tricks? I'm not sure. So, but I saw this, and this reminded me of when I was a kid in art class in school, and you would take and color a really pretty picture. Then you would take black crayon and scrub it all over the top, and then you would scratch to reveal the colors below. And hi, Charlene Lawson. So you sweetie Bonnie. Gosh, you're so kind. And but this is made with recycled magazines. Well, I thought, okay, but I want to do something like this with fabric. A couple years ago, I did Ashley, is it Ashley Walters, the wonderful quilter, long arm quilter? She did something where we did a kind of reverse applique technique. And I did that one, and I still need to quilt it because Charlie's going to get it. It's got a big butterfly. But what I wanted to show you, these are some examples of Hawaiian quilting. And Hawaiian quilting involves reverse applique. Now, when I say reverse applique, what that means is that the pretty fabric, this teal fabric right here, that's under a solid piece of white fabric. So normally with applique, you cut out this shape and sew it down onto the white fabric. In Hawaiian quilting or reverse applique, you put the white fabric over all these, like these would be done by blocks. So this block right here is white fabric laid over this beautiful pink fabric. And then you cut your design in the top, draw it and then trim it, and then tuck under the edges, stitch them down as invisibly as you can, and then you're left with this striking design. Now why they started doing this, I don't know. But I then went on a search looking for what would be a good design to use to do the reverse applique. And this one is quite a possibility. The one thing you have to be careful of is see how close together these petals are and the dots are. That's really hard to trim what you would be trimming this flesh color and tucking it under, and if it's that close, boy, that's tricky. So, but it gave me some ideas. Now let me show you some more. This one would work. You would do piecing of the fan first, put it on the base fabric, then when you laid this over it, you'd cut it away to reveal the fan. Now that's not how that was made, but I was looking for what designs would work. This is from Urban Elements, and this would be a really good one. The one thing you have to make sure of, this is a form of reverse applique, I do believe, but maybe not. It could be regular applique. But I just love the idea of having a work. Now, remember this. I took the design that I was most inspired to use. I took it and I stripped it of color stripped it down just to the basics. I didn't want to waste my ink, but I wanted to get a basic idea of how these water droplet splashes were drawn and without the distraction of the color. Now, the original was called Snow Dance, and it was a quilt by Sampakita Quilts. And I will show you, I've got a color version of that to show you. But this is something good. If you had some of this fascinating fabric, and you could then do thread painting to indicate all of the little lines on the dragonfly. And if you use a batik, swirled colors batik, it would be extraordinary. So I said, well, that's a good one. Here is a reverse applique. And what you'll see is this fabric is all one piece of fabric. It's a multicolored batik. And batik is where you put the colors on, and when you decide what colors you want to stay, you put wax over them, put more colors. And anywhere the wax touches, it stays that particular color. And that's how you get these wonderful multicolored. So they did a green, then they put wax on the green, then here when they put the reddish orange, it sunk in, then you put wax on that. So, and that's a wonderful, it's a wonderful technique, but it can be tricky. And here, in fact, here is a real batik, because a lot of people doing batiks will crackle the fabric once all of the wax is on, and they'll crackle it once the wax is hard, then dip it in black dye, and the black dye seeps into all the little cracks and crevices and gives that wonderful look. All right, so, oh, this is a quilt I'm thinking of doing. When I go doing my, okay, let me see. Let me go back real fast. When I do my research to see, okay, what design do I want to make? I find so many wonderful things. And now here is reverse applique. And so they have this is another wonderful batik that varies in color, and depending on where you cut the black fabric that was laid on top, where you cut it to reveal depends on, then you either get some more pink, you get more yellow, you get more turquoise. Let me see if I went back to the beginning. This would make a good reverse applique as well. Although you could piece this top, if you wanted to make this into the top fabric, but it's a little tricky when you end up with all of those seams. But I'm just looking for what shapes work well. This is just gorgeous, but the lines are a little too narrow, and you kind of think, how would I stabilize? Let me see if I can get back to the beginning. Let me, hold on just a second, everybody. Let me minimize this. Okay, here is the first one. And I have made a quilt using, I do believe, using a pattern from Urban Elements. And but these are really good. The only thing is you'd have to put more space between the elements. So that would, let me show you. So here's another one. This would be very hard to do, because all of this would have to be one piece, and you'd have to modify this. I hope you can kind of understand what I mean. But I started looking at different things, saying, what would be a good design? This one, you couldn't have them overlapping like that. So how this is done, this is regular applique, where they have used some fine edging to give that the stained glass look. But isn't it beautiful? Okay, whoops, okay, now we're getting back. Here is an actual triptych, which means it's 3 pieces that create one image. And this is Hawaiian reverse applique. Right there. So that I thought, oh, that is so pretty and so striking. But also a lot of work. Okay, now let me go to the next one. Oh, that's okay. So this would be something good. As long as these are spaced wide enough apart, but like these are spaced wonderfully, as long as you have 1/4 of an inch between each design, you could do it. This is a little too busy. Okay, this is the original, my inspiration, the original Snow Dance quilt by Sampaguita Quilts, and I loved this. I thought it was so fresh and happy. I love the rainbow border, which I do want some more fabric of a rainbow that I could use for the border. It also gives a wonderful chance for some really in-depth quilting. Let me move in here, let you see that quilting. This is just free arm. It's just free form quilting, just kind of moving along with these little, what I call like a peacock type feather, And so it would really be wonderful. Now, this pattern, this is an applique. This is raw edge applique. So they cut out the little petal or the little water droplet here, and then they zigzag with matching thread around the edges. But I think that this, if with enough changes, this became my inspiration piece. So wonderful, wonderful quilt. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I think you've seen them all. Something like this you could do, but you would have to do the Dresden flower in one piece and then just cut, around the outside. And honestly, those points that would be quite a challenge. I wouldn't do this for my first reverse applique. All right, so now that you've seen that, I'm going to show you the steps that you'll need, because this to me should be another fun. This should be another fun quilt, because to me that's what summer is about. Summer is playtime. And so I want you to feel like you have time to play. And I was thinking about this too. It's already August. I haven't even made my own handmade paper yet. So I haven't done any dyeing. So I'm going to have to get busy if we're going to have our summertime fun time. So, okay. In fact, my daughter told me she starts teaching next week again. It's like, oh gosh, summers get shorter and shorter the older you get. So here we go to the close-up. All right. Now I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. And I'm sticking with making smaller quilts because I don't have enough walls. I'm even running out of closet space. But what I did was I took the colors. I want to use all the rainbow colors. I'm in a real rainbow thing. Let me see if I can turn this up without making you... Oh, better not touch it. The little wire is touchy. But, I've got this color wash rainbow quilt. I'm really into rainbows. So what I did is this is from ombre fabric. This is all one fabric right here. And it runs from a wine color through to regular red, and then darker, or a dark orange to a lighter orange. Those are wonderful fabrics to use anytime you can get them. And I've got dark orange to light orange, dark green to a lighter green. The one thing I don't have is a second purple, because I want to have something darker, and then this will be the light one. But this is what I did. Okay, whoops, I had these all nice and lined up, but I guess I can do it again. Let me see. Maybe I can do this. All right, because there's a few steps. Now I have put this pattern, as usual, it's a free pattern on the site. It's already up on the site. And all right, so this is a piece of scrap muslin. As you can see, it used to be sewn into something else. But I save a lot of muslin because it's so good to use as my foundation, because art quilts use a lot of foundations. Then I took a fusible interfacing and just a stiffener to iron on the back to give this some body, because I am going to be manipulating this fabric pretty good. Now I haven't starched this one yet. I need to starch that. Anytime I do something that I'm going to be handling a lot, I definitely like to starch it. Alright, let me pull my light over here too. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So, I've got my muslin base. I ironed the fusible interfacing on the back. Then what I did, I took and made a pattern, a paper pattern. And I gotta turn it this way. When this is only about 20 by 20. It might not even be that. Let's see. No, this is 16 by 16. Okay, so it's not even 20 by 20. Let me get this lined up good. All right. Then what I did is I used 4 sheets of paper, but cut it to be the size I wanted. And the reason I do that is so you can print it up on your own. And what I did is once I draw the pattern, oh, and that was funny, I draw it with a pencil. And as you can see, it has the feeling of this, but it's not the same design. With this design, these were way too close, these were too close. It's absolutely precious, but I don't want to copy what is probably a copyrighted design. I wanted to make it my own. So if you see, I've got plenty of space between everything. I tried to have even more than 1/4 of an inch. I tried to leave a 1/2 inch minimum between everything. Alright. At first, when I was going to do a reversible applique, I thought about just using a very colorful fabric behind and then cutting and revealing the color. But, you know me, I have a hard time stopping at just that. But anyway, when you see the pattern on the site, or if you aren't a member of our free groups IO, I can email you the pattern. Just send it to the ourtime2quilt@gmail.com. But what I did is I folded this into 4 pages, numbered them, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. And that way you can print out this on 4 pages. But I first drew a design, and I tweaked it so much, I almost used a whole eraser, because it was like, I didn't want all of them to be so cute. I wanted some of them to be more straight, some of them to be plain, so that the cute ones really stand out, and to leave the right space, and to be the right size. So this is what I came up with. This is the pattern that you can download and get. And I wrote down here, use for muslin drawing. Okay? So what this was for, besides now it's going to be just to remind me of where everything is placed, I also drew numbers on every little water droplet, so that when I cut the pieces out to put on the colored fabric, I would know exactly where the pieces go. So I made 3 copies of this paper. Okay, so 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, just so you'd have enough. This one I wrote, use for muslin drawing, because you can lay the muslin on top and you can see right through the muslin where to draw it on. And I use a permanent marker because I don't want it to disappear. Then I put another one together and did this with it. Because if black fabric is going to be my top fabric, it would be very hard to lay the pattern under it and then be able to see through that and draw it. So I knew that wouldn't work. So I'm getting out some tailor's chalk. So then what I did, I made this pattern. You might notice I only cut a much smaller design out. When this is the actual design, I only cut this. That's to leave you as close, somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of a seam allowance so that you can tuck it under. Okay? Now, if you say, I'm not going to do hand applique, I will do it by machine, then go ahead and cut yours out right on the line. But then what I did is took a piece of my tailor's chalk and I just firmly colored in where, yeah, on the black fabric. And what this does, now if you can think of a better way to do this, you feel free, because it's going to be your quilt and your fabric and your time, so you do what you want. But I thought this way, once I put this on top of the muslin and I start cutting through, then I will have plenty to roll under and stay within the fabric piece that I'm going to put on the muslin. So now this is what it is. Now if you're afraid that the chalk will rub off too much, you could take a little light hairspray and just kind of do a fine little spray just to kind of tack the chalk into place, and you're going to be cutting that out anyway. So that's probably probably a good idea for me to do. I want to do my applique by hand, and I know that I'll be rubbing, although tailor's chalk, it's staying pretty good. I hear I was rubbing real good and it stayed. So, alright, now, so, I said you needed 3 copies. This was for muslin, the other one was to cut out the opening for the black fabric. Now you can use any color you want for your solid top fabric. Lately I'm loving the contrast between black and the rainbow colors. Then what I did with my next copy of this, they weren't even glued together like this is. I just took and made sure they were numbered and then cut them out. Here they are. I cut them out. Now, if I had more time, I would have printed out one of my copies on freezer paper, because remember, freezer paper, you put the shiny side to the pretty side of the fabric, you touch it with an iron and the freezer paper will stick there, and then you just cut it out. But I was upstairs and didn't feel like walking down here to get it, so I did it. I just took a couple little dots of glue and just kind of lightly tacked the fabric, the paper onto the fabric. Notice that with each of these designs, I left at least 1/4 of an inch. That's because, okay, so now I've got all of these numbers. I've made a pattern for each one. But here's 14. This is where the 14 is going to go. And what I'm going to do is just peel, whoops, I didn't iron this on good. Let me warm up my iron. But what I'm going to do with this, and it's going to go this way, is you peel off the back paper, then it has the fusible, and you fuse it down. I wanted to make sure there is enough around all the edge so that if I do cut and sew it back to here, I made sure that that area has enough color, because it's going to be a little tricky since you have the fabric on here, but then you're going to put the other fabric on top and cut it out, and you want to have a little fudge room. So that's what I wanted to make sure. But now I've done a dark yellow under here. Now if my glue sticks a little paper down, you can just use your fingernail and scratch it off, or just take a wet Q-tip or a wet little paper towel and just kind of soften the glue. But this is number 24. I'm going to go ahead and iron this down. So I took off the number, and then I'm going to take off the paper back for the fusible. If you have a problem, I try to use my fingernails to get the paper loose, But let's say you're having a hard time with it. Take a pen and just score the paper. When you score the paper, it's very easy to lift off. I almost hugged the teacher who taught me that because I was having a terrible time trying to figure out. So now when I lay it down, I look through and make sure there's an equal seam allowance or equal spacing all around that drawing. And then I come over here and I put the iron down. There we go. And you can see the drawn line through it. Let me bring you down here a little more. Ooh, I ordered some new ironing board, Teflon fabric, that will come in because, boy, I wear them out. But do you now see the edge around here? And in fact, I just realized I can see the number through it. So I might have to figure out what to do first. Maybe I'll come in and when I'm ready to glue it down, I'll take something and kind of wipe out that number because I don't want to do all this work and then see the number. So be careful. If you use a Sharpie, please write your number off the edge where it's not going to matter. But what I'll probably do here is just take a little bit of acrylic paint and just kind of just cover over that because that just taught me. Now, not every fabric is going to do that. Let's take off the paper for this number 14. And, whoops, I might have put a touch more glue on this one, but don't worry. You know you can get it off. It's all water-soluble glue. And, in fact, you know what? I have one of these little wet wipes. And all you have to do is just rub over the glue and scrape the glue off. But this is where freezer paper would be a good thing. But you know how we do it as we fly by the seat of our pants there. And I'm having fun. This is what my retirement, the biggest joy of my retirement. But anyway, so with these darker colors, don't put too much glue. I did better with the yellow. You just want to have enough, something to hold it down. I could just have taken the number and pinned it to it. But what I'm going to do now, this is number 14. Let me take off the paper. Whoops. I got to make sure, hold on. I got to iron this a little more. I want to make sure that fusible is fully on here. Also, remember, fusible is not permanent. It does a pretty good job, but if you handle it, if you launder it, it will release after time. So, just make sure we're going to be sewing the top fabric over this. Alright, now I'm just going to put this down here. Alright, and as you can see, it's pretty, especially once it's cool, it's pretty stuck on here for now. And I'm going to have to get that up and cover that number. This, it looks like with the other fabrics, it is not showing through, but definitely my lighter fabrics, that number is going to be a wee bit of a problem. And this, I think, this did much better. I just, for some reason, put too much glue on that first one. But I love using glues, and I use water-soluble unless I really had to have it stuck for good. Okay, so this came off really well. This is number 10, and this is going to go right there. Let me see if my fusible is stuck down good enough. Let me pull back up the camera. I'm sorry. I was probably out of range. But here we go. This is going to be number 10, and I'll stick that there. And with these darker fabrics, you're just going to have to lift it up and make sure you've got an equal distance around the fabric. Alright, so this is how we're going to do this. And we're going to put all the colors on this. And with plenty of extra fabric so that if we cut or stitch it a little bit off center, that you're fine. That there's fudge room around all of it. And I'll get all this paper off. I'm not worried a bit. If for some reason it didn't come off, I would just pull it up and make another one. So it's not a problem. I have the leaves that I've used still here. So, all right. So then once you do all of this and you put all of the colored little droplets of water around, then what you're going to do is you're going to bring back this. Now don't worry, I'm going to probably do this over 2 to 3, 2 more sessions probably. And what you're going to do now is you're going to just make a snip right in the middle of this design. You're going to go around the edge. Now I just thought of something. One thing I'm going to do is mark the top on this fabric, because otherwise I won't know which way to turn it. So I'm just going to bring the chalk and make some arrows up here to make sure I know that this is the top, because this is going to matter. It was hand drawn, so there's only visual rhyme or reason. There's nothing mechanical. Alright, so mark the top like I had marked the muslin foundation too. Now, you just take and you just make a snip here, and then you come in and stay pretty close to the edge, that chalk line, and I'll show you why. Okay, so I'm just going to trim this around like this. And then I love these little snips. I love that they have the spring on them, because I do have pretty good arthritis, and this definitely helps. I'm only having to apply pressure to close them. They open back up on their own. So that makes it easy. And the sharp little points are really good, because let me just put this fabric underneath this and show you what this is going to look like. So, whoops, it would help if I back on. Alright, here we go. So, now the light. Let me move the light away. It's really sensitive right now. The camera is. Let me lean it up. But, I don't know why it's... I think we're going to replace this camera too, because it can be too sensitive. But so what you have is you cut the hole and then you'll have fabric under it. Let me find a darker color that might work better. Let me see here. Let's try this purple. Oh yeah, now you're able to see it better. But this, we've been talking about, this little camera is not quite as, because it's a nice darker purple. Alright. Now, what you're going to do, and you're going to use black thread. If you have black silk thread, and you want, if you want to hand sew it, then you can take and you're just going to nip around this edge, because this is a curve, and to be able to stitch it down, just make little tiny nips, just, it probably won't even be 1/8 of an inch, just a little nip, and that will give you some flexibility in the seam allowance. And up in here too, I usually do at least 2 nips at an angle, one this way, one that way. Okay, I better put my glasses on. The one problem about using black fabric is it really sucks up the light, and it makes it harder to see, especially if you go to sew this down with black thread. Oh my goodness, just make sure you either have a magnifying glass and or a nice lamp. But now see what I can do? Now I can come here like this, and I just tuck it back like this, and you just give it a good finger press, and you have a beautiful little line when you come around the corner like this. Okay, but you just tuck this under. Okay, so you see by the time you sew it, it'll be much bigger than what the chalk says. Now, let's say there's two different ways. Let's say you refuse to do the hand applique. I understand. You can do it any way you want. There's two ways. You can take, like I said, and cut around this line, okay, leaving the full size, and then take black thread and just do a very tiny zigzag around the edge when you place it on the color. Okay, pretend that this is the black fabric, and you'll have it cut back on this solid line, and you just take a fine little black threaded zigzag and zip it all the way around. And yes, that will be much faster than hand sewing, but I can't machine sew in my recliner with my feet up binge watching my favorite streaming show. So you've got to just, what's important to you. So anyway, but that's what it's going to be. What I'm going to do, okay, here's another important part, is I have a whole bunch of these safety pins. And when I get this all in the right place, and I know I've lined everything up perfectly, I'm going to then take, and every few inches, I'm going to anchor this to the muslin base. Okay, and you've got to do it all over. Now let's say you don't have that many safety pins. Well, you can always take white, I would use white thread so you can see it easily. Do big basting stitches. This is just a way to baste these together so they won't move around. Because otherwise, every time you touch it and you go to move it, it would be off. And you've got to make sure that you keep them right together. And that's why I fold my fabric in twice in half. And that gives me the lines I need to know exactly where I am on the fabric. I just match up the back and the front. And I mean, you put a lot of pins, a lot of them. And then that way, if they get in your way when you're ready to sew, then you just take them out and you keep going. So I'm just going to do one more to show you. So once I have all the fabric fused down to the foundation, once I have all of these little water droplets cut out, small because I need to then tuck all this under, and when I make sure it is lined up perfectly, in fact I can even put registration lines on the foundation and match them to registration lines on this. I can have like this is, when I say registration lines, if this is perfectly in place, take the tailor's chalk and make a line. And that way, I know you probably can't see this one here, but it is, why is this light is too strong. I don't know why it's so powerful right now. But I make a registration point like this between this black fabric and the muslin foundation, and that way, as long as they're lined up, I know they're just where they're supposed to be. And then I come along with my safety pins that aren't tangled up. But anyway, and I would put another pin here, so about every 3 inches in every direction, put a pin. And then that way, once you have this, okay, I'll back out again. once you have this and it's pinned and everything's right where it should be, then all you need is scissors, black thread, and an applique needle. And you just go around, or what, when I say black thread, depends on what your top color is. But you just go around and you just do very careful applique stitch. I will show you that next week, because first I need to get all of these put in place and then make sure I cut out all these holes. Make sure it's right where it should be. But especially if you use black silk thread, that thread just kind of melts into the fabric and you won't be able to see stitches. But like I said, if you want to, you can cut it bigger like this and just zigzag it on your machine, whatever makes you happy. So now, once this part is done, just so we can look to the future, you will have your muslin, you will have the black fabric. Now you can always, if you really want, try to cut the excess away, but I don't think it's worth it. Then pick out what kind of batting you want to use and what kind of backing. Pick a backing fabric. And then you can quilt this. As small as this is, if you're comfortable doing it on your domestic, you can quilt it. I'm going to put mine on the frame because it's more comfortable for me to move the machine rather than move the fabric under the needle. So, but then I will quilt it, and probably with black thread, because I don't want to compete with the beautiful colors, the rainbow colors. But if I wanted to, I could use a variegated primary color thread, but I'll probably use black and then just do some nice, you know what, I can use this shape of the water droplets to be my inspiration for the quilting. So we'll just start with the small water droplet and echo, then come and start another water droplet and echo and an echo. So I think now you see why you need 3 copies of each page and what you're going to do with them. And when you pick out your colors, and that's another thing. I was sitting here and it's easy to kind of become frozen. And because I thought, oh, I love this. Well, I don't want to copy this. I need to make it my own. And so I said, well, start with the darker colors here. And as you go out, lighten, 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 light, make them lighter and lighter. So, because just when I think about water spilling, I think of it being intense here. And as it has more light in it, it might just get lighter. But I love all the different colors. And so some of my fabric, most of my fabric, it reads solid. Some has a design. Like I love this lime green. I mean, I love that. So anyway, but I keep piles of my fabric based on color and light to dark. And I think that ombre look is going to be very attractive. So I had actually one really dark blue. That's already down. Then here, this next, then this, then this. So that way I can go inner, middle of this splash, and the edge of the splash. And I'm doing the same thing with my greens. This right now is my darkest green. Then I would come in here with this, then this, and then this, and then this. And this is a nice compromise between yellow and green. Same thing for my oranges, same thing for my yellows. And I even put a pink. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but I just might put it in. But I love this ombre and how it follows through. Oh, and there's a even lighter blue. So I'm going to take my time, look at these colors, decide exactly what I want to put where. This is supposed to be for the middle, so you can see it's the darkest green because all my more intense colors will be here, and they will get lighter and lighter, lighter shades intense as they go out. So I'm hoping I've given you some good explanation of this. It's great for using your scraps, and feel free to use a blue or a purple or any background, color. This is good. Keep wanting to call it background even though it's the top fabric, because it's going to take to do the job of a background fabric. But as long as you've got a high contrast, and then, if you want to use a lighter background, fine, just make your designs more intense. So hopefully you just definitely want a contrast to get the full effect of this. So if you want this fabric to be white, then use a very intense color like I showed you with the Hawaiian reverse applique technique. So the Hawaiians really perfected that method just beautifully. All right, so now I think I'll check to see if you have any questions, and then we'll go to show and tell. And hopefully I got everyone's show and tell online. Oh, I love your conversations. I just love it. Now let me come back to main, and then I'll go back to, okay. So I'm hoping this sounds like another fun project. To me, it's relaxing. I tell you, after doing the quilt we did in our class, which I've turned it back around now, that was a project you had to really focus on. And we all made really good use of our seam rippers. Let me tell you, we did a lot of frog stitching. So for this, I just wanted it to be light and fun. Now I'm thinking, I haven't picked out the next project yet, but I'm thinking it might be a good time to start a holiday project, because I never have time in November to do something for Christmas. So we'll think of it. So I'm going to look back, before we go do the show and tell, I'm going to look back and see if any of you have questions. Okay. What are you using on the back to stick the pieces on? The back is just muslin foundation. I bought a bolt of muslin because I do so many art quilts and they all start the same way, with a piece of muslin. And that makes things, in fact, I think the mosaic, no, I didn't use muslin for the mosaic because I just put them directly on the black fabric so that the grout in between the little squares, and those squares were just over a ½ inch, but so that it looked like grout showing through to be like a mosaic. So anyway, but I'm hoping if you have any other questions, just please let me know. Pacific Rim has a ton of reverse applique patterns. What a great idea. You used to make paper. Oh, I wish you were close by and we could make some paper together. I want to go out this week because it's going to be cool. In the 70s to low 80s, we've got a lot of gardening to do because it's been so hot that everything is overgrown and really ooky. So ooky is a professional gardener's word. And so I've got to get out there and try to whip this yard into shape. Plus I want to be sewing inside. I can't do it all, but I'll try. I always do. So let me see. Oh, I love it. But that's what I was going to tell you is I want to pick some flower petals. Like lantana has really cute little tiny petals. My Buddleia, my butterfly bush, has some great tiny petals. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to pick some things like petunia petals and then put them in an old book, a paperback, nothing precious, but put them in between the pages and let them do a little bit of drying. And if I can get them dry enough, then you can actually, you don't have to leave them whole. You can kind of crush them and just put them in the mix that makes the paper, or you get your paper mix, and when you have it on the screen, you can drip all your petals on the top so they stay near the top, and just kind of flatten them. I'll probably take some kind of little float and kind of make sure they have good contact with the pulp. But so I'm going to be picking blossoms that I can add to my paper. Now, we were driving home last night, and I looked over, and we have a wetlands, a swamp near the bottom of the road, where when we have a big rain, tends to, build up. But it's really become it's a park. It's now one of the city parks, and they have a boardwalk over it, so you can kind of see what does a boggy wetland, what does it look like, what kind of animals and wildlife. They have a whole lot of, they're not water lilies, lotus flowers, a lot of them, and I love their seed pods. But what I noticed when we were driving home is how everything is overgrown. They have some of these water plants, these reed plants that have spilled over from the water and are bordering the sidewalk that runs down that main road. And I looked and said, Mark, I want to come cut some of those plants and weave baskets out of them, because they look like the perfect reed to make a wonderful basket. He said, I would call the city first. And I said, but it's not in the body of water, it's just right beside. He said, call the city. So I'm probably going to do that and see if I can. And if they give me permission, I'm probably going to have to go at 2 a.m. so traffic's not heavy, because, I've got to be able to cross the lanes. It's 5 lanes of highway. So, but anyway, I tell you, people ask me sometimes, where do you get your ideas to do stuff? It's crazy stuff like this. You'd be amazed if you could see what's inside this noggin. I tell you, it's not big for nothing, But, oh, thank you, Debbie, about the weight loss. That's so nice. Oh, yeah, I am so excited. We've had some wonderful, our Hopi is new, and our Linda is new, and they're very excited. And, this site means everything. During the current crisis, during the pandemic, during numerous of our battles with cancer, it would have been very lonely without this wonderful community. This community, you ladies are the most amazing things. And getting the corner fabric to fit right. Oh yeah, we'll have to your corner for your diamonds. Well, I made mine a little bit bigger and have them stick out beyond on equal distance. Yeah, Debbie, if you want to sometime, I think I gave y'all my my personal cell phone number, so you can text me and say, do you have time to do a Jitsi today? So if you want, I'll be glad to get into a free Jitsi with you and say, okay, how do we do this? So, because I want to help. I want you to be successful with your Snail's Trail alfresco quilt, because, fabric is expensive now. Your time is valuable. So don't just email me whatever way, get a message to me, and if you want to do a Jitsi, and we'll look and see what exactly is the problem. Good job, Mary. She's telling Debbie that she's decided to focus on one aspect of the quilt at a time. Debbie made them bigger too. Yeah, it's kind of tricky, but mainly if you sew the right place on the line and they're big enough and you make them stick out on each end. But I don't mind at all. Like this week we could do a little Jitsi, and anybody having questions or problems, we can all let each other know. The pattern scared you. I tell you what, Miss Jo came in. She was working on a miniature house, which I love. But she came in to the class, and we were all talking about, I've taken this out 4 times. And here, everything has to be going the right direction, because each of the blocks turns. I mean, it is. It says the border, which you haven't started yet, the snail trail block is okay. Yeah, you can do whatever border you want. I decided, I've only made half. This is only half of the quilt. I still have another half to go. What I've decided is to do a solid black border, but in the corners I'm going to do this sweet little sashing square block. I'm going to put those in each corner of the black border, so it kind of draws it, you know. And I always kind of like to, my border, if the middle of the quilt is busy, sometimes I make the border a little calmer, to give the eye a place to rest. And so quilting this thing is going to be tricky also. But we're doing this pattern. I went ahead and made up some paper piece patterns for everyone, because I think we've all decided paper piecing is the way to go with this, because there's so many different places your points have to match perfectly, and whew, it'll give you a headache if not. So, but wait until the pictures start coming in, ladies. You'll see that yes, this is tricky. You learn a lot, an awful lot, but it is worth it. It is worth it. So, okay. Yeah, the black does bring a highlight, but even the whites, we had 2 people who were doing the white background, it really pops. As long as you have the right intensity, it's the difference, the contrast that really makes the quilt pop. All right, so any questions you have, but please contact me. I'll get on a Jitsi with you, whatever makes it easier for you. And Hopi says she's become good friends with this. Yes, those seam rippers were just smoking during the class. But I don't know about y'all, but you don't have, you have a circle pattern, but I don't have that. I know with the black, it really highlights. I'll show you what she means. She's referring to the secondary pattern. Let me see if I can pull this. Okay. She's referring to the secondary pattern. And let me see. Right here. It's these blocks that go around the center star. Okay, see where it looks like it makes a black circle around? And that's called a secondary pattern. And it's one of the things I love about that quilt. And what is it? 80-40 something fight. That it's another block's very similar, and it does the secondary pattern. But if yours doesn't show as much, try to save some of your more intense colors for the blocks that border it. And what Jenny Byer taught me about color was that if you put your darkest darks and your lightest lights, have them abut each other, it really amplifies that contrast. And you know, with me, Jenny Byer is the quilter of light. I mean, she has a mastery. So, yeah, it does make it so interesting. That and the snail's trail, what a brilliant combination. And this quilt, one of the reasons I'm going to stick with it, it's got such a sense of movement. And I told you I'm even going to make a second one for Mark, because he had a great idea of making it look like roiling waves on the ocean. So, can't wait. Oh, yes, and you're right to see the butterflies. I noticed that when I did the Alaska quilt, it had some butterflies. And it's just based on where the half square triangles touch. And you're right. Because I notice when I look at the Alaska quilt, I see butterflies all over it. So, and that was another quilt that I used a black background. And I tell you what, maybe it's cheating because it's just so dramatic, but I like it and it works, so I'm going to keep doing it. So, okay, let's go to show and tell. I'm going to bring it up on my little screen, but I'm starting to feel that getting behind stage because I've got my sparrow border that I'm appliquing to finish and get that quilted, and then I have the mosaic to get quilted, and then I'm going to have this to get quilted. I'm starting to run a little. Oh, and I haven't even, what about I was working on the Roman mosaic floor tile quilt. I've got that to get back to. I don't have enough hours in a day. So can we change something to make each day 48 hours? So here we go. Let's check out your pictures, and we're going to go to see Miss Bonnie, who is such a talented quilter. And here is, she did a block. I'm trying to remember, Bonnie, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. I got up this morning at 10:30, I don't know, got out at 11, and sitting on the couch started dozing off. So I need to sleep probably about 12 hours straight. But Miss Bonnie, I think she either did a pass around block or block of the month. But look at her applique, it's beautiful. And her quilting, these wonderful diagonal lines, which are so good. I'm hoping you can see them. And it's so good because it's usually not wise to quilt over applique. People will quilt up to, and sometimes I've even thought, you know what, if I want to do a really dramatic background, checkerboard print or whatever, is maybe quilt the fabric and try to hand applique it on later. That might not work, but I've often thought you could try that. But it's show and tell. You might see the difference unless putting the blue facing each other and the purple. Oh, okay. Now, Debbie, let me know if you sent me any pictures today, because I haven't been on the computer before the show today. But I just love what Bonnie did with this. We would see her make these blocks, but they are wonderful, wonderful. And this pattern right here would be really a pretty good one with reverse applique too. All right, I sent her some orphan blocks, and she's making them into, what do you call these? Mug rugs? Little things to sit your coffee or tea glass down on. And I love how she did that. And it's so nice because, I didn't know what they were from. I couldn't remember. And I think I'm starting to get a little bit of memory. It might have been at a retreat where somebody was going to teach us how to make blocks or something. But instead of throwing them away by sending them on to her, she's made something beautiful with them. So I'm real tickled with that. And I love the blue fabric she used for the background, that print. Okay, so now we'll go back and look at, let me see, Debbie Holtz. Now, here we go. Now, she wants to be able to see her circle. Your circle is going to, let me turn this around better so we can help her see what her circle should look like. Oops, sorry. Oh, no, don't sit on, I was starting to run over my flamingo quilt. Can't do that. All right. I'm looking to see. The circle goes around the center. Yes. So we're not seeing. Well, I'm those two blocks look like they have a beautiful circle around them. Yeah, you know what, Debbie, when you put more blocks together, then I think we'll know, because it has to kind of go, you have to finish filling it out with the other blocks. But, oh, and then when you put your diamonds in the middle. But if you have another picture, please let me know. I've got this, but I think that's it for pictures from you. And your beautiful blue heron. Oh my gosh, that is really wonderful. I love all the fabrics you're using. Just beautiful. Okay, so let's see who is next. All right. Oops. I said I was showing you her next picture, but guess what? Was I there? Maybe I'm there. Okay. All right. Oh, I know what I was supposed to show you. I was looking to see. I think that since the circle goes around that center with the diamonds and the square, once we get this block on, see these two blocks, it should round it off a little better. But let me know if you sent me any new pictures and I can go find them in my email. So, okay. So now go back to desktop pictures. Yes, so once the diamond sashing is on, thank you for saying it that way, Mary. My tiredness is showing. Oops. Mark is home. Huh, he got back a little bit faster. He might have decided that, okay, now who is next? Dogs? Hey. They get very excited when Daddy's back home. All right, here is Miss Hopi's Snail's Trail al fresco. And I think her colors are gorgeous. And I love the grayed down jewel tones. They're just beautiful. Hey, hush. And her piecing is exquisite too. So way to go, Miss Hopi. Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, her points are so good. All right. So now look at this. I wish I should have asked her to include the photograph that she made this landscape quilt based off of. And it is beautiful. And I love the way she did the stitching of the edge, because it makes it either look like the leaves on top of the trees on these bodies of land, or a fuzzy edge of the top of a mountain. I love what the fabric she used for water, and all of this thread work is done by hand. It's hand embroidered. So, I mean, it's beautiful. And so she would find the fabrics and enhance it with her hand embroidery. So, very talented lady. And we all know her totes are amazing. So, very talented. So, I'm so glad y'all are here, because you really bring so much inspiration. Oh, you know, I was telling everyone about Jody and her matinee monsters, and I have kept them. Normally I have only a limited amount of space on my computer, but these are so beautiful that I hold on to them. I mean, the sadness of poor Frankenstein here is palpable in her work. So there's the vampire. I think that's Bela Lugosi. And look at Elsa Lanchester. I mean, is that the Bride of Frankenstein or what? Isn't she good? She's so talented. The Wolfman. Look at the creature from the Black Lagoon. And she is just so talented. So I just thought I would show you some of the things I saved for Miss Jody. Oh, you know what this is? Is this the quilt we sent her when she got her diagnosis? So I think it has worked very well for her. All right, now let me go ahead and close this down. I'm using two monitors, so sometimes I kind of lose. Oh, wait a minute. We can't go until you see the Wicked Witch. I mean, wow. How cool is that? So, our Jody's very talented. She just had a really good medical checkup, so she's happy. We're all happy about that. Okay, so now, oh, this was, I'm just going to show it real quick because we've shown our dolls quite a bit. But this is Tilda's Kitschy Friends dolls. It's free pattern you can get online if you belong to our group. I've got the pattern on our website in the files section. All right, let's see. Miss Mary. Yes, Miss Mary even made a new Kitschy friend. Look at this. Isn't that cute? And I love it because she tried new things. Look at the curly hair. Look at the hand-embroidered glasses, the lips. That's so cute. So, way to go. Then, look at Miss Mary. She used patriotic fabric, and it is beautiful. Way to go. Beautiful, beautiful. So I can't wait to see as that develops. Okay, and then she had done, oh, that's another one we've done recently. The birdies on a wire. And I love her job. Her birds have such little personalities that are showing. I love it. So anything Mary makes is a happy quilt. All right, let me see, just show one of Mary's bowls, Mare's bowls. Wait a minute. No, Marsha Hahn's bowls. Okay, and I love the petrified piece of wood inside that. That is so cool. Okay, let me get my cursor back over. Yes, those are Marsha Hahn's. Okay, then let's see. Oh, Meltem showed us. In fact, oh, Debbie was telling me her and her husband watched a special. This is Meltem's photos from Turkey, from Istanbul. She went to see the Hagia Sophia, and it's a mosque that dates back to the 1400s. And I was just reading that it's in danger because if an earthquake were to hit too close, they could lose the Hagia Sophia. And oh, and here's her real beautiful daffodil quilt. But they could end up losing this exquisite building. So we're going to really hope that no earthquakes happen anywhere too close. But, and then our Cheryl Hogan's kitty. So if you have any photos, please send them to me. And Jody posted a new video. Oh, gotta see. Jody is the quilt squirrel. Yes, so when you want to look up the post that Jody does, go to Quilt Squirrel on YouTube. So I'm tickled she put up a new video. I can't wait to go see it. So, and Jody joined us for one day of our quilt class, and that was so much fun having her with us. So, you updated some pics? Oops. Oh boy, did I miss them. And let me just go back here a minute. Let me see. I hope I didn't get some and then forget to show them. That would be terrible. But maybe you just put them in. Oh. I'm not seeing. I hope I didn't somehow lose your folder. Well, I will make sure that I find them for next week because we love our show and tell, and I don't want to miss anything you do. Okay, well, I will definitely go on the site and... Oh, yes, Marsha Hahn. Can you... Yes. I love Marsha's... I'm going to go back and show you these bowls. And what I love about Marsha's is the shape of it. I made some bowls, but they're just square. And I'll show you mine. I love how she made hers at that angle. Okay, here are her bowls. I love that she made yo-yo buttons for the bowls. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And then look at this one. And the yo-yo buttons are so dramatic. And here. Now, when I made bowls, we only knew to do these little square ones. And sometimes the tops get stretched out. I don't think they work as good. But I was going to show that when I took up... Whoops. Wait a minute. Come back here. I made just these square ones when I made them a few years ago. But one thing I did is when I sewed the edges together, because you're folding them up and putting a little pleat in them to make the side, I left mine open so I could then take and put a little pair of scissors in the bowl, pins, whatever. But I have noticed that these bowls don't hold up as well. They get a little loosey-goosey. And so what I was going to tell you is I like the design of Marsha's because the angle gives them a little bit more body. They'll hold up better. So if Marsha Hahn has a little hint of where to find that pattern, that would be great. So, okay. I think now I'm tired. Mark is home. I need to get something to eat. And I'm going to start working on this new reverse applique. Because I can sit up there with my feet up in front of my television, eating some lunch, and cut all the holes out of the black fabric that's going to be for the front. So that's what I'm excited about. And I hope there's nothing that I forgot to tell you. I apologize if there was. But any questions we have before we go? Oh, a family baseball game. I just want to ask Cheryl and anybody from the class that as you progress on your class quilt, send us a picture. We would love to see it. Laura, it was so good to see you today. Mitty, don't forget I need a mailing address to send you that book. And send it to, let me make sure I've got it again for everyone. Our time to quilt at gmail.com. All right, now, Linda, if you would like to join our groups IO, I don't know if I sent you an invitation, but I will send you one. That way we have lots of files. Anything I design, I put on the site for free. The files are there forever, and we can have fun. So, yeah, I don't like sitting in front of a machine for too many hours. What do you have for a table when you're in the recliner? I bought what's considered nowadays a coffee table, and it would be twice a normal end table size. And then I sometimes get tray tables. Sometimes I have 2 tray tables and then this coffee table right off the end of my sofa recliner. And sometimes I kind of move the dogs out of the way and set things up in between me and Mark on the couch. So that's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. So, all right, everybody, you are the best. And, oh, you're celebrating your 50th. Oh, Debbie, I am so excited for y'all. Oh, congratulations to you and that wonderful husband, and have a great time. I guess Chloe's going to be going to the babysitter. So, but have a wonderful 50th. That is monumental to celebrate. So way to go. It was so good seeing everyone. Mayor, it's so good. I hope it's not too hot in California. And I'm sorry I didn't get to chat more, but there's always next week. So take good care of yourselves, and thank you for being part of this group that you are the air, the wind beneath my wings for sure. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next week.